Ask, ask all as much detail as you can.
Let me read
And
this.
you're gonna look at Sam rather than me.
Oh, I'm
I'm
not
not even
gonna.
here.
No, you know. Oh, you're coming down for this? Okay, Sam, anything you want to ask, go right ahead.
All right, let's start with family background. So,
Okay.
your date of birth, place.
All right, let me see. I was born February 18th, 1927, in Brooklyn, New York, to a very lovely couple called Anne and Jean Kennedy, and they loved having me.
And your immediate family members besides them?
I had a brother. His name was Gene also. He was a junior, but they never called him junior. I had a sister who was named Mary, but I never knew Mary. She died a year and a half before I was born. So that's why my mother and father were so happy to have me. I kind of took her place a little.
Okay. Your street. What street did you live on? Stores
Well,
in your neighborhood.
I was on 47th Street in Bay Ridge was where I was born, but then we moved to a house in Queens. Ozone Park was the town, and it was 114th Place was the name of the street. 13224, 114th Place.
Were there any specific stores in your neighborhood that you liked?
Yes, there was a candy store on Rockaway Boulevard, which was the main road. And there was a Bohack. That was the name of the supermarket, not a stop and shop. It was called Bohack. My mother used to shop there all the time.
And how was your home like?
Oh,
Like,
we had a really nice home.
nice?
It was a brick house, and we had 3 bedrooms and a bathroom upstairs, and then we had a porch and a living room and a dining room and a big kitchen, remember? And another bathroom downstairs.
Was it similar to the house you live in today, or size-wise?
Oh, it was probably smaller. It was smaller, yeah, than this.
Any childhood friends?
Oh
that
yes,
you-
I have.
Very important to you.
Still have 2 that I grew up with, 3 actually that I grew up with. One was a fellow named Vince, and he went to West Point. He was a great athlete. He was like you. He played basketball. He was really good. And he went to West Point for 4 years before he stayed in the service for 20 years. And I just recently caught up with him again. He came to the Cape and took me to dinner. Another one was my girlfriend, Eileen. I went all through school with Eileen. I still talk to her on the phone. And when I go to Long Island, we have lunch. And the other one was a fellow named Bob who lived down the street, and he's still alive.
And were there any like specific games when you were little you liked to play?
Oh yeah, we played stoop ball. We had a ball. We also had stick ball.
Really similar?
No, stoop ball was, everybody had a stoop. Steps going down
Oh,
from the house, and we'd throw the ball against the stoop. Sometimes you would hit the
Oh.
top or the bottom, or, and it was like a game. You hit the ball and somebody was behind you, they'd catch it. We had stick ball. That was with just using a stick, like a broomstick.
like baseball?
Yeah, it's
It
a
was like
baseball.
that.
Yeah. And then we used to watch the boys on the street play. There was a lot of guys, and they played football in the street. So there wasn't too many cars going in those days.
Were there any accidents that happened, like that you remember that?
No, I broke my leg when I was 2 years old, but I don't remember it. My mother used to tell me about it, but I know I didn't have any accidents.
Okay. What were your favorite holidays and how did you spend them?
Oh, I loved Christmas. I loved Thanksgiving. We always had people for dinner. and obviously we had a Christmas tree. First, we went to church, came home from church, and then we would open presents. I also love my birthday because we used to celebrate my birthday. So those were the three holidays, I guess.
Did you go to church early on Christmas?
Yeah.
Like 6?
Yeah, no, but I guess we went to around 8:30 Mass in the morning.
Oh, that's not bad.
No.
Elementary school, like, what was the name of your elementary school and where was it?
Oh, it was walkable. I could walk to my school. It was Our Lady of Perpetual Help. It was a big parish, a church, a school, a lot of grounds there. And the kids would come out and play. I mean, there was room outside to play.
During lunch, you would go outside,
Yeah.
I'm guessing?
Yeah.
And, do you remember your first day of elementary?
No, I don't
middle
remember
or-
the first day. No, but I remember the first grade.
What were
Yeah.
your feelings on that?
I
Like, were you scared or was it fun?
Yeah, I was scared. I was scared to.
Scared? How about, any embarrassing or funny incidents that happened in school, anytime?
Well, we had disciplinarian nuns teaching us. I mean, they really were strict, and the boys used to act up a little bit, you know. So one time, a priest came in to talk to the class, and one of the boys, this is interesting. His name was McCann, Jim McCann. His son now owns 1-800-Flowers, the big company from all over the country.
Wow.
But at that time, he was in my grammar school class, and he was kidding around in the back. And the priest picked up the chalk eraser, you know,
Yeah.
and he threw it
Adam?
at the kid. And he missed him and hit one of the girls. So that was really scary. I was up in
anyone
the
laughing? Or was anyone like,
Oh, we were scared to death.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
this priest was, he was really a terror. So, no, that wasn't fun, but I never forgot it.
yeah. Now, in elementary school, did you have a favorite subject and teacher?
Yeah, I did. My favorite subjects were geography. I loved geography. History and spelling. I love spelling because I like to spell. So the history teacher I remember, and both grammar school and high school, because they were so good. Oh, and there was a singing teacher too I liked.
Do you remember the names?
Sister Coralita was the one in the grammar school.
That's all elementary, that's it. Sister
Yeah,
Corey.
elementary, yeah.
That's cool. Anyway, do you have an unforgettable character from then?
Yeah,
From
well, I
real
was,
life, in TV or in whatever, like famous person, an unforgettable
honey,
character?
there was no TV. Radio? Yes. Loved radio. Used to listen to that, my mother and father and I. There was a man on every night called Lowell Thomas, and he told us the news. That was great. And then there was a show called Amos and Andy, two black men, but it was all on radio. You couldn't see them, you know. I don't think they were black. I think they were white, make them believe they were black. But they were funny. Oh, they were so funny. And now I remember those two shows.
Now, in high school, like your teen years, what was the name of your high school?
I went to a school called Dominican Commercial in Jamaica, New York.
Jamaica? Okay. And, Jamaica, New York. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is...
Can you stop for a second? Don't, try not to move your elbow on the table. It shakes it. You're good.
Where was I? Okay. Was there a person who influenced you at this time more? In high school years?
In high school, well, again, this one nun that, her name was Anne Regina. She was great. She was a wonderful teacher, and she was the one who taught history. I also learned all business subjects, business law, business arithmetic, stenography, typewriting, things like that, that I used later on in my life.
Who was the president at the time?
It was a nun. Her name was Sister Rose Gertrude.
No, of the United States.
Oh, of the United
I was curious.
States. Oh, let me see. Oh, that was Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Oh, he was president at the time. Now, do you have a first sweetheart?
Yes.
And what happened to him? Or what? Tell me about him.
Let me see now. The first time I really realized there were boys in the world, I was in New Jersey, Denville, New Jersey. My mother and father had a bungalow there. Every summer we would go to New Jersey for 3 months. And one of the other families that came and had a bungalow too was a group called Gallagher's, the Gallagher's. And I fell in love. I must have been 11 or 12 years old. I fell in love with Kenny Gallagher. And they came from Hoboken. That's where they lived, New Jersey. And then I heard during the war, the Second World War, he was, I think he was in the Navy, I'm not sure. But anyway, I corresponded with him. But after that, I heard about him. He became a teacher in Hoboken, became a principal in Hoboken, one of the schools, and retired to Denville. He went back to Denville, and that's where he lives.
Same place?
Yeah, where we met, yeah.
Huh.
So he lives there now.
What did you want to be when you grew up? During high school?
A journalist. I always wanted to be a journalist.
You just like that?
I loved it. I loved it.
Because of what? Writing?
I love news, and I love to write about news and hear about news, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that was...
What was the newsman again that used to tell you the news?
Lowell Thomas.
Did you like what he did?
Yeah,
all the time?
yeah, he was good. He was like Walter Cronkite was on television. He was one of the famous ones.
Did you have any extracurricular activities?
Yeah,
Or what did you like to do outside of school?
Oh, well, let me see. Well, we liked to go to football games. There was a high school called Chaminade, which is where Uncle Chris and Uncle Mark both went. But they had a great football. They had all great sports. And so we'd go to see them play football. And one of the guys that played football for them was this Jim McCann again, that I mentioned before. And so we got to know, you know, there was also a famous basketball player that we'd go to see, Bob Cousy. Do you know Bob Cousy?
Of course.
Well, we knew him growing up. And then he was a good friend of Mary Jane's.
Really?
Yeah, because he went to Andrew Jackson High School, which was near where she lived.
Who's Mary Jane?
My best friend from high school.
High school best
Yeah.
friend.
And then there were two other guys that we knew pretty well, were the McGuire brothers. Dick McGuire played for the Knicks.
Oh, really?
He still works for the Knicks. He's like a coach. He
Now, all
was.
these
He's
people-
probably too old
All
now.
these people were in your area? Like you?
Yeah, right on in Queens.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And his brother was Al McGuire, who coached Marquette University, one of the best college football teams that won, I think, the NIT in New York.
Okay, what were your favorite songs or singers at the time? During high school years?
Frank Sinatra
Frank Sinatra.
was one of the big ones, and Patti Page was another one, Doris Day. Let's see. I guess
Were there
that's
any
right.
dances?
Yeah, we used to go to dances.
Like what kind of dances were there? Was it just like the...
Well, actually, it was like a jitterbug music.
jitterbug?
Yeah, it was fast music, and we used to dance. It was all through the Our Lady of Perpetual Help, the church. They had these dances.
I see. Again, wait. When did that the eraser being thrown take place?
Oh, that was in the grammar school.
Oh, grammar school.
Grammar school.
Were there any incidents like that during high school with like a class clown that always made you laugh or something?
No, because it was just girls. That I forgot to tell you, that was just a girls' school.
Oh, I
So
see.
there weren't any boys or anything. We had a good time, but it wasn't.
Now your favorite teacher was that history teacher, right?
Sister Ann Regina.
Why was she? Why'd you like her so much? Was it
She
just
was
about
so
the
smart.
subject, or?
Yeah, and she was a nice woman. Some of the teachers, the nuns, they were not nice, but she was really nice. She was a sweetheart, so I liked her the best.
Um, what did you worry about most then? Were there any things that upcoming events or?
That I worried about.
Schoolwork.
Well, actually, the war was going on at that time. My brother was in the war. No, was he? 42? Yes, my brother was in the war when I was in high school, sure. So we would be looking at the papers, listening to the radio. Actually, television came out just about that time, about 1941, 42.
Was that late high school or early?
This was early high school.
Early high school.
And you said something about somebody I would remember from then. I do remember a girl in my freshman class. Can't remember her name now. I think it was Marion something. She was the first one I ever heard who had a television set. None of it, nobody. In fact, I had never even seen a television set.
Did she brag about it to everyone?
No, she mentioned it. Her father had a lot of money, or he was in the business, I think, and that's why he had one.
Were there any memorable incidents?
Yeah, we had a play that we put on for our senior year, and I was the star of the play.
Do you remember the play at all?
Of course, it was called the Belle of Barcelona. I was the belle. And girls in the class, they would take the part of boys, and they would dress like boys. So I had a boyfriend in the play, of course. And I used to sing when I was young. I had a voice, I could sing. So that's why I was chosen as the Belle of Barcelona.
Involved?
Yeah, and dancing, singing and dancing.
How do teens of today differ from the teens of your day?
Oh, I think that we weren't as adventurous as the teens of today. They seemed to be more outgoing. It was a lot more discipline when we were growing up.
My mom always, when my mom tells me that she should just go out and there wouldn't be any danger.
Oh no, nothing
you
like
wouldn't
that.
have to worry about anything. You just come home whenever.
Yeah.
And
and you walked every place too, Sam,
Nowadays,
because
it's
nobody had a car. I mean,
Yeah.
there was no car. My father was one of the few who had a car, and he just drove it on weekends because he would work 5 days a week.
Would you say that there was a lot of you were outside most
All
of
the time.
All the time.
All the time.
Okay. Now,
We used to play a game called Ring Alivio.
what is that?
That's a running game. It was like you had a team, like there'd be a whole bunch of kids and they would pick a side, everybody would have a side, and there would be two teams, and you would run and try not to get tagged. That was it. No tagging. You couldn't tag. And the ones who were left without getting tagged won the game. That was one crazy game that we played.
Now you said your brother was in the war.
Yes.
Did he write to you and all? He wrote. Did he send you letters and stuff?
Yeah. He used to write to the house, my mother and father and I. Sure. And matter of fact, he was married by that time.
How long was he there for?
He must have been there 2.5 years in Europe. He went to Europe.
Oh, all right. Present status. Of course, you are.
What about meeting Pops?
Oh yeah. How'd you meet Pops?
Oh, I saw him at a ball game. I mentioned someone before, a fellow who went to West Point. Well, he was, as I said, a great athlete. So he used to
Who was
play
it? What was his name?
Vince Bailey. His
Try not to
name was.
interrupt her, when she talks.
Okay.
Vince Bailey, and he played baseball. So I went out to I was trying to get my driver's license, and I had the permit, and my father had to drive with me. Somebody had to drive with me.
Yeah.
I couldn't drive alone. So I said to him one Sunday afternoon, "Do you want to go and see Vinny play?" He said, "Sure, sure." So over we went, and we were watching the game, and I saw your grandfather for the first time. He was there watching the game too.
How old were you at that time?
20? 19.
Did you, when you saw him, did you like approach him, or how did you
No,
guys meet?
no, I saw a whole crowd of guys, and one of them was going with my girlfriend, Pat. So I knew him, his name is Walter. I knew Walter, and I said, "Oh, I gotta find out who that guy is." So the next day I asked Eileen, who was Pat's sister, and she said, "I'll find out." So she did, and it was John.
And then what happened?
I never saw him again for a year and a half. And then one night I was at a party in somebody's house, and I was sitting, and look, I saw somebody coming down the stairs, and it was him for the first time. A year and a half went by before I saw him again.
And then did you guys date?
Then we started to date. He was working in Albany, actually, so he would drive up to Albany to work for the week, and then he'd come down for a weekend.
Now, when did you guys marry?
We got married in 1954, November 13th, 1954.
And of course, you have
We,
children.
yeah, but we moved. We were from Queens, but at that time he was working in Boston. So when we got married, we went down to Florida for a week and a half or so, and then came back for Thanksgiving, and then just jumped in the car and went to Boston. And we lived there. Chris was born in 1955. Your mother, Barbara, was born in 1956. And then after that, we moved to Charlotte. He was transferred, got a better job. Same company.
Where's Charlotte?
North Carolina. And Carol was born in North Carolina.
And so you have 4 children.
Oh, yes, because then we came back home because he was transferred to New York, and Mark was born on Long Island.
Okay, now, today, what are your hobbies or recreations today?
Well, mostly exercise. As you know, I'm near the water, so I go down and I walk by the water. I also have a class, exercise class, the senior center. Let me see, well, reading, I love reading. I read a lot of books. Swimming, I swim. I guess that's about.
Didn't you work down at the police?
I work at the police station. I'm a volunteer for the police, and I also am a volunteer at 2 libraries. And I did volunteer over at the museum. There's a historical museum here, but it was getting too much, so I gave that up. I don't do that anymore.
Okay, now.
I also take courses at the high school, at the college.
What
There's
college?
class. Cape Cod Community College has classes for senior citizens, so I take classes over there.
Okay, now, what was the happiest and saddest moment of your life so far, if you can think of it?
Well, I think it was just a normal thing, but it seemed so marvelous at the time. When Chris was born, I felt very proud of myself that I had a child, that I could bring a child into the world. So I think that was the happiest. The saddest was losing people to death, like John, my mother, my father, my brother. So that's sad.
Now, how would you define love?
Love is when you think about a person all the time. You want to be near that person. You want to do things for that person. It's all mostly giving. You don't think about what they can do for you. It's what you can do for them. I think that's love.
Now, has a belief in God been important in your life?
You know.
Why or why not?
Yes, it has. Very important. Over the years, it's been very important. I think it has bolstered me, made life easier for me. Was able to, knowing God, trusting God, I was able to accept, unhappy times, miserable times, and I always came out on top because I felt that I could ask God anything and He would hear me.
Okay, that's about it. Did you enjoy this interview?
I did.
Why?
Because I love you. I love talking to you. No, it was very interesting. And then thinking back on, a life that I lived, it's nice. It's nice.
All right.
I think the most important, there were always three things that were important to me. And it's funny. One was music. I don't think I could have lived a happy life without music. The other was water. I love swimming. I love water. I love to just even stand in the shower. Water is great. And then being outdoors, air. I love to be outdoors. I'd rather be outdoors than in. So those three things.
It seems like those three things have a big effect on where you live today.
Yes, it is.
Water,
yeah.
Air.
Yeah, right here. Cape Cod is a good place to live, to
All right,
retire.
Why don't you give Grandma a hug?
Oh, I'd love to
Hey,
do.
go over there. Go.
Oh,
You go to her.
we can't.
Go to her.
No.